The story begins in the Viking town of Berk, a rugged place that looks normal enough, except for the fact that it's constantly under attack by dragons. One night, a swarm of dragons invades and hides in the nearby forest. In response, the villagers launch a chaotic counterattack. Right in the middle of it all is Hiccup, a teenage boy who's small, awkward, and definitely not your typical Viking warrior. Under orders from Gobber, the village blacksmith, Hiccup is told to stop interfering and stick to sharpening weapons. This comes from Stoic, Berk's chief and Hiccup's father, who doesn't trust him in battle, and with good reason. But while the others are hunting the elusive Night Fury, a rare and legendary dragon, Hiccup sneaks out with one of his inventions and actually manages to shoot it down. He tracks the wounded dragon to the forest. At first he panics. It's a real dragon after all. But before anything happens, Stoic arrives with backup, and the dragon flees. It's revealed that Stoic isn't just the chief, he's also Hiccup's dad. Unfortunately, he doesn't believe Hiccup brought down the Night Fury and punishes him for disobedience. Later, while talking to Gobber in the forge, Hiccup shares his real motivation, not to destroy dragons, but to become a dragon slayer so he can finally make his father proud. In Berk, that's the highest honor you can earn. Meanwhile, Stoic calls a war meeting with his troops. The new mission: find the hidden dragon nest and destroy it, believing it's the key to ending the dragon attacks on Berk. After the meeting, Gobber privately tells Stoic that Hiccup isn't built for battle. More brains than brawn. But Stoic realizes he can't shield his son forever. Eventually, he agrees to let Hiccup join dragon training, at least for his own survival. Days later, Hiccup sneaks back into the woods and finds the Night Fury wounded and trapped. He has the chance to kill it and earn instant respect. But when he sees fear in the dragon's eyes, he can't go through with it. Instead, he cuts it free. The dragon, unable to fly, limps away peacefully. A quiet connection begins. Back in Berk, Stoic informs Hiccup that dragon training starts soon. Hiccup protests, still shaken from sparing the Night Fury, but Stoic won't budge. Training is mandatory. Hiccup joins a group of Viking teens led by Gobber. Their first test? Face a live dragon in an arena and survive. The sessions are intense. Hiccup struggles, especially with classmates who doubt him. In one session, the goal is to herd a dragon back into its cage. Things go south fast, and the dragon nearly attacks Hiccup. Gobber steps in just in time and warns everyone, dragons are dangerous and deadly. Later, Hiccup returns to the woods alone. While observing the dragons, he notices many are injured, broken wings, damaged tails, and unable to hunt. They're not attacking out of malice. They're just starving. That night, Gobber assigned homework. The group had to read the Dragon Manual, a survival guide packed with real stories about dragons and how to avoid getting killed. After training, Hiccup and Astrid had a quiet talk. Hiccup shared his belief that dragons might not be evil, just reacting to humans taking their food and space. Astrid wasn't convinced, but started to question things. Hiccup continued studying the manual, learning each dragon species had unique powers and threat levels. But one dragon stood out, the Night Fury. The only entry said, "Do not engage." No other details. Meanwhile, Stoic and his best warriors headed out to find the dragon nest. Fully armed, they crossed rough terrain and eventually found what they were looking for. But the dragons weren't exactly happy to see them. Back in Berk, Hiccup and his training group faced another intense arena session with a captured dragon. It was loud, chaotic, and not exactly pleasant. In his spare time, Hiccup returned to the forest and offered the Night Fury a raw fish. He soon discovered something surprising. The dragon's fierce teeth were actually retractable. Hiccup named him Toothless. To build trust, Hiccup even shared a raw fish meal with Toothless. Over time, they grew closer, and eventually, Toothless allowed Hiccup to touch him. A bond was formed. Toothless became Hiccup's secret companion. While others trained to kill dragons, Hiccup was sneaking out to feed his and secretly build a prosthetic tail fin to help him fly again. Though it took several rough attempts, Hiccup eventually succeeded. Toothless could fly once more. Their first flight together was unforgettable. Back at training, Hiccup faced a deadly pair of dragons that used toxic gas and fire. One lunged at him, but oddly backed off. It sensed Toothless's scent. Using that advantage, Hiccup calmly led it back to its cage. From that point on, Hiccup began standing out. He wasn't just keeping up in training, he was excelling. He even built a custom saddle for Toothless and started practicing real flying maneuvers. During one session, he noticed Toothless sneezing whenever he got near a certain flower, a small but important observation. At the next training session, Hiccup's classmates struggled with a tough dragon. Thinking quickly, Hiccup threw the flower that made Toothless sneeze, and it worked. The dragon was down before anyone even raised a weapon. His teammates started to get suspicious. How was Hiccup handling dragons so easily? To keep Toothless a secret, he played it cool and acted clueless. Meanwhile, Stoic and his dragon hunting squad returned from their mission, empty-handed. No nest, no dragons, just a muddy, disappointing trip. Shortly after, Gobber told Stoic that Hiccup was doing surprisingly well in training. Stoic, now proud, told his son he had what it takes to be a real Viking warrior. Let him believe it. He didn't want to ruin the moment, but deep down, he knew the truth. He wasn't slaying dragons. He was befriending one. And if anyone, especially Stoic, found out, Toothless would be in danger. A few days later, the training squad faced a one-on-one challenge with a captured dragon. Everyone was ready, especially Astrid. Until Hiccup stepped in and defeated the dragon effortlessly. Astrid wasn't happy. After all her hard work, Hiccup made it look easy. Still, the judges named him the winner. Suspicious, Astrid followed him and discovered the truth. Toothless was alive, free, and clearly not being hunted. Panicked, she ran off to report it, but Hiccup stopped her. He grabbed Astrid, put her on Toothless's back, and flew into the sky. As they soared through the clouds, Astrid realized Toothless wasn't a threat. He was playful, gentle. Nothing like the monster she expected. The flight changed her mind. After landing, she agreed to keep Toothless a secret. But she warned Hiccup, one kind dragon doesn't erase the damage others have caused. One day he might have to choose his dragon or his people. Just then, Hiccup spotted something huge and scaly moving on the horizon. Hiccup and Astrid, now dragon-riding partners, followed a mysterious shape in the sky to uncover where the dragons were going. After a high-speed chase, they found it, the hidden dragon nest Stoic had been searching for. It wasn't just a nest. It was a feeding ground ruled by a massive dragon called Red Death. Smaller dragons brought it food, and when one failed, Red Death devoured it. Clearly, it was the one controlling the attacks on Burke. Back in Burke, Astrid wanted to report what they saw, but Hiccup stopped her. If the village found the nest, Toothless would be exposed and killed. Hiccup promised to find a way to stop the attacks without sacrificing his dragon. Later, Astrid joined Hiccup at his final test, a public trial to become a true dragon slayer. Stoic gave a proud speech, believing Hiccup was finally becoming the warrior he hoped for. But things went wrong fast. Instead of killing the dragon, Hiccup tried to show it could be tamed. The dragon panicked and attacked. Astrid jumped in to help, but was pulled away, leaving Hiccup alone. At the last moment, Toothless stormed into the arena and fought the dragon. After a fierce battle, he forced it back into its pit and saved Hiccup once again. And then the worst happened. The soldiers turned on Toothless. Despite saving Hiccup, they captured him like a threat. Later, Hiccup and Stoic had a heated argument. Hiccup told the truth. Dragons weren't evil. They attacked because they were scared and forced to survive. They needed understanding, not destruction. But Stoic couldn't accept it. His wife had died in a dragon attack, and he still saw dragons as the enemy. Then he discovered everything. Hiccup's bond with Toothless, the hidden nest, all of it. He was devastated. Soon after, Stoic locked up Toothless and used him to lead the army to the dragon nest. Back in Burke, Astrid found Hiccup feeling defeated and admitted she felt guilty. Hiccup shared the truth, that he once had the chance to kill Toothless, but spared him because he saw fear in the dragon's eyes, the same fear he'd always felt himself. Hiccup came up with a bold plan, break Toothless out and help Stoic's army without anyone getting hurt. At the right time, he gathered his dragon trainee friends, each with their own strengths. Since they'd trained for weeks, he convinced them to ride the same dragons from practice. Ready for action, the team flew out while Stoic's army prepared for a full-scale attack on the dragon nest, unaware of the real threat waiting inside. As the battle began, dragons started fleeing the nest. The soldiers thought they were winning, until Red Death emerged. Massive, terrifying, and furious, Red Death made it clear the dragons weren't running from humans, they were escaping him. Chaos followed. Red Death burned everything in sight. Stoic's fleet tried to retreat, but their ships were quickly destroyed. At the worst moment, Hiccup's crew arrived. Working together, they used their dragon skills to distract and weaken Red Death, attacking its wings, legs, and tail. Meanwhile, Hiccup was on a solo mission: save Toothless. He dove through the chaos to get to his friend, but just as he reached him, Red Death's attack caused a massive explosion that sent him plunging into the water. That's when Stoic, finally realizing that maybe, just maybe, his son wasn't a disappointment after all, dove in and pulled Hiccup from the sea. Because, despite everything, he couldn't bear to lose his son. Not like this. And for the first time, they both realized, maybe dragons and humans didn't have to be enemies. Stoic looked Hiccup in the eye and said what every son wants to hear: "I'm proud of you." Turns out, all that strict Viking parenting came from one place: a deep fear of losing his son. But now, Stoic saw Hiccup's strength for what it really was: different, but brave. With Dad's blessing and dragon at his side, Hiccup geared up for the final showdown. The plan? Lure Red Death into the skies, get him to follow Toothless way up high, and then, boom, dive bomb like a mythological fighter jet and light him up from above. Toothless climbed higher and higher, baiting the massive beast behind them. At the perfect moment, they turned a nosedive straight toward the battlefield. As Red Death opened his massive jaws to end them, Toothless blasted a fireball straight down his throat. That was the shot. Red Death spiraled out of control, crashing with the force of a flying mountain into the ground below. The impact rocked the island, and in the chaos, Hiccup and Toothless were swallowed by the flames. When the dust settled, Stoic rushed through the scorched wreckage. All he found was Toothless, battered but alive. The rest of the village stood frozen, fearing the worst. But then, Toothless shifted his wings, and there he was, Hiccup, unconscious but alive, curled up under Toothless's protective leg. Hiccup had survived, but not without a cost. He later woke up inside his house, confused, and missing his left leg. But, thanks to Gobber, the village's one-handed, one-legged, all-heart blacksmith, Hiccup got a custom prosthetic leg. As Hiccup learned to walk again, he looked out at a very different Berk. Dragons were flying through the skies, peacefully. Kids were tossing food to gronkles like it was a zoo. Toothless curled up beside houses like a sleepy guard dog. The war was over, and peace had finally taken flight. Turns out the villagers changed their minds after the dragons, instead of flying off, saved Stoic and his stranded crew from being stranded after the Red Death chaos. Gobber proudly showed off the upgraded flying gear he built for Toothless using Hiccup's designs. He even joked, "Now you're not the only one with fancy legs around here." And so, Hiccup and his friends, each now paired with their own dragon, took to the skies. Soaring, laughing, learning new tricks, dragons weren't enemies anymore. They were family. And just like that, the once dragon-hating village of Berk had officially become the world's first dragon-friendly neighborhood. After that, the movie ended.